Ladies and gentlemen, What If Altist is a schizophrenic on the internet. Over the weekend, What If Altist, well-known internet muckety-muck, released like 10 hours, I think, of video over one or two videos, maybe 2 or 3 videos. Losing his mind online. Just losing his fucking mind. There are tweets that are a part of this. There is him talking. I am not going to go over the entirety of it. My, not even one of my editors, just one of my mods edited this down. The edited down, like clipped for content videos are available on his channel. I watched like 2 seconds of this on someone else's channel and was crying laughing at how fucking stupid it is. We're not going over the entire thing, at least not today. It might be something that you kind of come back to here and there. But in this, we have facts about Rudyard Lynch, What If Altist's family revealed. I think I heard about his dad's massive amount of mercury poisoning. I will possibly be doing a dramatic reading of one of his things. Maybe I'll say, like, if whoever donates the most, the largest super chat might be able to pick a voice, pick one of the voices that I do for the reading, okay? But we're gonna just hop right into the video. 3 videos totaling 10 hours. Jesus Christ. What level of crazy are we talking here? Full on delusion. Like beyond soft sit levels of crazy. Like deep. He's fucking nuts. I mean, which I've always said, like, I don't think that like he's playing with a full deck of cards. Like he's definitely, What If Altist is definitely stupid as fuck. Like he's dumb, and where his dumbness comes from is like kind of unplaceable. I think now it's kind of evident that he might have like hereditary brain issues and damage maybe from his dad being full of mercury when he busted in his mom, as claimed by What If Altist, possibly in the videos that we'll be watching. But I'm going to kick this off. Shout out. Don't forget, you can donate above and below. Let's see what's going on here. There we go.
Hi everybody, I'm Rudyard the What If Altist guy, and before you watch this video, I have to add a couple different preambles for all of our collective sanity. You'll see why. Firstly, there's lots of stuff in this video where, as I wrote it, I didn't know how, because human words cannot convey it. And the way I feel giving you this video is I'm trying to explain something that cannot be explained in words, which is intensely difficult. And so when I try to tell you something, I wish I could show it to you, but I have to write words. Certain parts of the story will make me, in the way it's narrated, look like a complete narcissistic egomaniac. I apologize for that. But again, it will make sense at the end.
I gotta ask, Osu, I don't know if you're in here. The original videos got taken down before I could see them. I've never seen the originals. Osu, if you're out there, you can tell me whether or not you've added these title cards. I have no idea. It would be literally impossible. You could put any title card you want in a What If Altist video. I would believe that it's natural to what is occurring.
I, Rudyard William Lynch, was born on June 23rd, 2001, in Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts, to my parents Mark Lynch and Leslie Payne Zimmer. Our current era of history completely discounts genealogy, which is one of the most deranged things you can do, since
I love this messy bitch, dude.
Genealogy is the code which imprints who you are through your blood. Then once that's imprinted on your environment, the underlying code adapts to different situations. So when you can see someone's genealogy and ancestors, you see the previous actions their underlying code has done before. So, let's go through my ancestors. My father's ancestry comes from almost all Ireland. apparently genetically from the south and the west of the country, which is the normal region for Irish Americans. They moved over after the potato famine in the early 1850s and around the time of the American Civil War. Some went to Quebec first, but then they ended up in the American Northeast, with my grandfather growing up in Jersey City and my grandmother in Boston. My father's line has a strange curse that each male must pick an impossible battle. My father...
I love this. I love this. I love this. I'm so happy. It's okay. So if you haven't read a lot of fucking bullshit, which I have, okay, I've read it for classes. I've read people's opinions on this dumb god. I can tell what types of books he reads. I know I can't name it down to the title, right? Some people probably could actually like articulate the specific author that is his favorite, but this era just has that kind of writing and history. It's like just on, right? Not nonfiction or not fiction. This is nonfiction writing style, but this like these grand sweeping statements that lead into this like plotting architecture of history is just such a vibe of an era of writing that I feel it. Right? It's really the like mid 1800s ish to like pushing into the 1950s. I know it's sort of cheating to know that he reads a lot and really appreciates the like 20s to 50s era writers. But if you've read a bunch of fucking historical accounts, which you just have to get most degrees, you know what I mean? It's not like it's like a fucking a unique thing. Every era of history, the historians have different vibes. If you go really far back, it's extremely conversational. It sounds like hoity-toity, but it's really just the way that things are translated. So it's like, 50 years ago, there was a great battle between the Mycenaeans and the Athenians. And the Athenians lost a great battle. There was a wondrous leader whose name was this, and he fought but was defeated. And the statements from these people are blah, 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 blah. I'm doing like half-assed doing Herodotus. You get into like the Roman era, it's a little ginned up and then it goes away. Medieval history is like he did come through, you know, it was in the year of 12 and 10, there were 10 jarls who did meet at the Jarl's Moot, and speaking did come across the understanding that the king should be chosen from those of the toe-headed line of George, and of George's line was chosen Charles, and then Greg when Charles did pass. And Greg was raised to the rank of king and did marry this person and that person and did war. Like, it's like that vibe. Because they were just talking about shit because they're like, they could only write so much stuff. When you get into like printing press era and everybody starts ginning shit up, then you get into this like, this vibe of history writing that just, it sounds like this. Real historians can get way fucking crazier with it. But I just remember this stuff from history class and being warned against the narrative style, I think, which is his favorite kind, where it always does say like, it was a mark of men born between the eras of 1822 and 18, that a man must pick 7 battles in his life. And the great, like, it's the era of like, dick suck autobiography is really what it is, because like people started reading more and they wanted these like narrative vibey filled things, you know. His greatest triumph was the 17th of April when 100 men did meet on the battlefield and only 85 were returned. Sweeping over the corn that day where the blood dripped from the leaves of the tobacco trees, they sang songs of silence in the fields of Shiloh. There were 17 men that survived, 2 of which were named Ball Sounding. Like, it's like this whole, like, blah, 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 these sweeping statements. I just get that vibe from him, and he's like, in his psychosis, decided he's like, okay, I got to talk about myself the way that these guys get talked about. This is, I am him. I am him. Pre-structuralism,
the only thing
sure.
that matters in life is honor. And if I lived with honor, then... He said growing up that your status as a man is determined by do you hold your word and do you die on the hill.
In the Battle of Waterloo, Private Stiff cut his way through the French cuirassiers with nothing but his sword and courage. That kind of vibe. Yeah, a little bit more ginned up even than that, but yeah, pretty much.
You need to die on. And to be a Lynch, by definition, is to put your own honor above your life, which is the highest virtue a human can do.
Mikey, you hear
My great-grandpa was in the Jersey City police force, and he picked the wrong faction in the local Democrat Party politics. He was the last man to stand by his patron when everyone else had fled him. He killed his entire reputation and career in the city due to his loyalty to his patron. My grandpa, Joseph Lynch, grew up in Jersey City and worked as a longshoreman. He was 18 years old in 1942 when he was drafted to fight. He passed an IQ test with no background in mathematics and was sent as an aide to the British. He said because they wanted to make Americans look better to the British by having a humanities-based guy who could talk about philosophy and stuff. And
okay, hold on.
The British, he said because they wanted to make Americans look better to the British by having a humanities-based guy who could talk about philosophy and stuff. And was drafted to fight. He passed an unction, by definition, is to put your own strange curse that each male must pick an impossible battle. My father told me growing up that the only thing that matters in life is honor, and if I lived with honor, then... He said growing up that your status as a man is determined by do you hold your word, and do you die on the hills you need to die on. And to be a Lynch, by definition, is to put your own honor above your life, which is the highest virtue a human can do. My great-grandpa was in the Jersey City police force, and he picked the wrong faction in the local Democrat Party politics. He was the last man to stand by his patron when everyone else had fled him. He killed his entire reputation and career in the city due to his loyalty to his patron. My grandpa, Joseph Lynch, grew up in Jersey City and worked as a longshoreman. He was 18 years old in 1942 when he was drafted to fight. He passed an IQ test with no background in mathematics and was sent as an aide to the British. He said because they wanted to make Americans look better to the British by having a humanities-based guy who could talk about philosophy and stuff. And
how is he a longshoreman? That was also like a humanities-based guy. Hey, you boy. Hey, what was that you just said right there? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you New York. Hey, you boy. What was that you just said? Well, I was just saying that I think that a man lives by his honor and should place his honor above his own life as a Lynch. That's what I believe. Well, you're getting drafted there, buddy, but we're sending you to the British. You're a fine version of an American. This fella right here, this 19-year-old longshoreman is a guy that takes fucking like boxes off and on and off of boats or that's a stevedore. I think stevedores and longshoremen are the same thing, but I can't remember. Like he's a warehouse worker. You know what I mean?
My grandpa always underplayed stuff. He might have been doing more stuff. I don't know. After the war, he went back to America and he was able to go to Harvard on the GI Bill. And
okay, so maybe, but doubt. I don't know. You can't do that today. Today, well, maybe, but doubt. Possibly. I don't know what their tuition was. Back in the day, you could take the whole GI Bill out. It's like basically like a personal like loan from the government. Right? Like a non-default, but they would double check usually. A lot of people bought houses with it. Some people did go to school. Nowadays, and for the last several decades, you got to go to like a state school. I don't know if you can go to Harvard or if the GI Bill would have paid for you to go to Harvard, but I mean, it is what it is.
He tried to be a lawyer after that, but then they forced him to take too many cases that were against his honor, and so he quit to become a professor. However, during his career as a lawyer, he befriended a Russian noblewoman who became quite fond of him, and so when she died, she left him her inheritance. And when he was a professor, he studied constitutional law, teaching at a school in northern New Jersey up by New York, and
Okay, hold on.
The book he wrote in constitutional law was that the founding fathers had purposely structured the Constitution so that there was a degree of plausible deniability inside the philosophic logic.
Oh,
so that you could
okay, hold on. I found him. Okay, so I don't know how true this is, obviously, but this is Joseph Lynch's obituary. This is his grandpa. Everybody say hi, Joe. Hi. Hi, Joe. This is Joseph Lynch, baby. That him, for real, for real. This is the guy's obituary. Joseph M. Lynch, attorney and professor of law at Seton Hall, researcher and author on early federal-state relations, 93. Joseph M. Lynch, retired professor of law at Seton Hall University, died on February 3rd, 2018, at age 93 in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, after a long career as an attorney, law professor, and legal historian. Visiting hours will be on Thursday, February 8th, 2018, from 4 to 7. Kimball. Joe was born on August 28th and 24 in Jersey City, New Jersey. 43, he enlisted in the United States Army and was assigned to a Signal Corps detachment in England that assisted the British in the Allied code-breaking Ultra Project. Well, that's cool. So a little bit different than Rudyard's ideas. Don't worry, we get to. There's a spoiler down below. So what does he say? Where was he born? Born on the 24th. So he was 19. Yeah, he was 19, right? Okay. Signal Corps and detachment, assisted the British in, I don't know if he's actually on the Ultra Project, but I guess he got to go do that. After the war, he resumed his college studies, so he was in college, graduating from St. Peter's College in 1948 and from Harvard Law School in 1951. So he went to St. Peter's first, and then he went to Harvard Law. He didn't go straight to Harvard Law. The following year, Joe married Irene O'Neill, whom he had met while at Harvard. Joe practiced law in Hackensack. Buy me a place up in Hackensack. I guess that's what you get for your money. Before moving in 1957 to Princeton, in 1961, he joined the faculty at Seton Hall University School of Law, where he taught civil procedure and constitutional law until his retirement in 1983. After retiring from teaching, he published his historical research as Negotiating the Constitution, an in-depth analysis of early congressional debates concerning the correct interpretation of key provisions of the U.S. Constitution. Outside of work, Joe very much enjoyed travel in Europe, music, opera, theater, good food, the company of friends, and relaxing during the summer in northern Vermont. This is the whitest guy possible. He was an avid fan of the New York Mets and watched from the stands in Shea Stadium as they beat the Boston Red Sox in Game 7 of the 1986 World Series. Joe was predeceased by his wife Irene and his brother John Lynch of Azusa, California. He's survived by his 5 children and their spouses, Ann Lynch and Peter Hedicle of Montreal, Peter Lynch of Franklin, New Jersey, Teresa Lynch of Blouenburg, New Jersey, Mark Lynch of Berwyn, PA, and Patricia Lynch and Trevor Dickey of Cambridge, Mass. He also leaves his grandchildren, Kathleen, Christine, and Tashi Hedicle, Valentine and Rudyard Lynch, and Nathaniel, Eliza, and Rachel Dickey, as well as numerous nieces and nephews in California, Ohio, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. There you go. This is him. And also the names of all of Rudy's fucking immediate relatives, which is hilarious. Oh no! This is a color photo. I can see the relation. I got it. Oh, he's getting buzz bombed and stuff. Jesus Christ! The one in the fucking local law the local paper is long as fuck. Oh, dude, he's a strict interpretationist of the fucking thing.
Of a sub-variety of different possible positions with each law that was written. He married my grandmother, Irene O'Neill, where they met at the St. Patrick's Day dance. And she worked she was a homemaker for the family, and he had 5 children where he moved to Princeton, New Jersey to support his family. He did a lot to try to assimilate out of the Irish community. So he studied classical literature and he studied culture and the Renaissance. And he was really into medieval theology. And he became very Catholic.
My favorite part of this so far is Rudy's own fucking grandpa's obituary kind of like not quite jiving with his interpretation of what happened to his grandpa. Like the guy people wrote this shit. His family members wrote shit down, memories about his grandpa, and Rudy's like, maybe.
Due to the war, where he believed that the war was symbolic for the dangers of modernism and totalitarianism, and the only way we could break out of that was through a return to Christianity. So he was a very strong fundamentalist Catholic, and he thought the 1930s Catholic Church, which meant most people saw as ridiculous reactionary, he thought that it was too liberal, and they had to return to medieval values. He was also, although he didn't teach at Princeton, he lived in Princeton, and so he was friends with a lot of the professors, and he was friends with multiple of the most important Catholic philosophers of that time period. And he supported my my family off a middle-class income. They lived in a small house together, and they had, I don't know if I said he had 5 kids before, but that's crazy. The Irish used to have that many kids. And, oh yeah, so final hilarious story about my grandpa. So my grandpa died about 10 years ago, and he was like 95. It's crazy. He was born 1926. And for the final year he was at the home, or the retirement home, whenever he saw an actress on the TV, he yelled whore, because he said, quote, all of these actresses have sold their bodies to get their status. So next comes my dad, Mark Lynch. He was born in 1961, and he went to Harvard like my grandpa as a young man. He ran the Harvard Strategy Club as his hobby. After that, he started working in Wall Street when the Reagan presidency started, where he met my mom. My dad made solid money as a mutual fund manager and banking expert. He's an expert in regional and international banking. My father has the same obsessive nerd spirit as what I have, where he's read over 300 books on banking history. He may be the person in the world who's read the most about banking history. I try to get him to write a history of banking, and he doesn't do it. And he runs a Mad Max fan account and banking advice page called Corpus Colossus on Twitter. Some of my friends followed my dad without even them realizing it. He also has a hobby in studying Marxist literature. And so growing up, he would explain Marxist lies to me, in that he would read these books to me, and then he would go through how the Marxists had lied, the methods they have used for deception, like overemphasizing numbers.
Let's
not
see. Oh my god, bro. My man fucking ate his whole family's breakfast. Watching through a telescope from atop the Citadel, waiting for an opportunity to tell Rictus what to do, all to build a better world, of course. Do not, my friends, become addicted to water. It will take hold of you, and you will resent its absence. Not financial advice. What in the absolute, dude? Oh my god, the family history of psychosis is based as fuck. I love this. I wish I lived next door to these people so I could hear what they yell at each other at fucking New Year's. I think this dude's actually like dead serious on his fucking... He's a dead serious Wall Street guy, but he just also loves Mad Max. It's awesome. Every time I get a fucking weirdo on the internet and they're like, my dad's on Twitter too. It's like their dad's always fucking way more based than they are. What has he got here? Self-dealing account teach piece worse than fantastic. Oh my god, yeah, this guy's fucking in it, dude. This guy's in it, bro. Oh my fucking god. Tremendous.
Looking at practical application or human nature. So I heard that stuff growing up. And he said he studied leftist philosophy because he wanted to know how someone could have completely incorrect beliefs and yet be so sure of themselves. And my family were in the nice house and nice vacation cast of rich. I think my family's net worth when I was a kid was like $10 to $15 million total. And my dad, I'm sorry, I love
10 to $15 million. I can't imagine. Dude, we're up from $10 to $15,000 in the bank at all. You're like, fucking, dude, where you gonna buy a Monopoly hat, Mr. fucking Moneybanks? You walk, oh, I get $15,000 in my checking account. Oh, 100 to 150? Like, whoa, watch out, buddy. My man's over here like, we merely had 10 to 15 million. We're middle class.
Love you, Dad, but you have very strong Asperger's, which you might have picked up on. And my dad studies 19th century train routes as a hobby. He memorizes them. And when I was 16, my dad said, you are a man now. I had 2 roles as a father, to teach you to be a man and to teach you have honor. I have succeeded at both. You are now a man. You are now responsible for your own actions. Figure your own stuff out. Another example of the kind of guy my dad is that he ate tuna fish every single day of his life from ages 12 to ages 30. And
you stupid bitch. That's too much tuna fish. What do you think you're doing? Do you see? Look at the size of the bread there. There's too much tuna fish. It's too much, and I gave it to you. I gave you too much tuna fish. You stupid motherfucker. You're gonna eat it? Are you gonna eat all that tuna fish? Has anybody have any idea what that is? I still can't believe that show went to Broadway. It's like Nick Kroll and fucking God damn it, what's his name? The guy that talks like this. Everybody likes him. He cheated on the guy, Coke Jaw guy. The Coke Jaw. It's not Jeselnik. It's the one that's not Jeselnik. He's slightly less funny, but way better liked. They had a show that started on the Kroll Show. It was a bit on the Kroll Show. You guys remember the Kroll Show? No one does, because no one watches FX like me, okay? And it was called Too Much Tuna, where it was two old Jewish guys, fucking Manhattan. What we have here, come on, sit down with us. Oh, I hope you don't mind. I took the opportunity to order you a sandwich, and then the guy bring out this thing with a mound of tuna on it. Look at all the tuna fish. Look at all the tuna fish. It's too much tuna fish. It's too much tuna. Nick Kroll's character is always having a good time, and then fucking the other guy's character. Look, you stupid fuck. You moron. You fucking magoofer. Look at you with your tuna fish. Are you gonna eat that? Look at how stupid you look. God damn, I fucking love that. It's too much tuna fish, Rudyard. It's too much tuna fish. John Mulaney, yes. Coke John Mulaney, thank you. Oh my God.
He did it because it was 50 cents cheaper than the other sandwich option. And then it gave him crippling mercury poisoning. And my father had crippling mercury poisoning when he inseminated me, which nearly killed him. And nothing worked, and he worked with Russian alternative healers who lowered his mercury blood pressure. And then he went on a trip to China for business, and then the
mercury blood pressure.
Up the mercury again. When I was scared about failing a test in high school.
You might have cut. I hope you didn't cut out the good
alternative
parts.
Healers who lowered his mercury blood pressure, and then he went on a trip to China for business, and then jacked up the mercury again.
Did you go to China for business? Your mercury levels are too high. There's too much tuna fish. There's too much mercury in the tuna fish. You're gonna get the hottest madness. You're gonna get the haberdasher's psychosis, you stupid bitch. That's too much tuna fish. Fuck. Kroll! Nick Kroll predicted this! Please. Oh.
I was scared about failing a test in high school. My dad took me to the local creek outside our house, and he said, "Look at this creek flow, Rudyard. This creek was here long before the white men came, and it was probably here before the natives were there before, or before the earlier group of natives had replaced another group of natives." And he said, "This creek will keep flowing whether or not you."
Did I miss the inseminated content comment? It's coffee.
Outside, and their sandwich option. And the ages is that he ate tuna sample. You are now responsible for your own actions. Figure your own stuff out. Another example of the kind of guy my dad is that he ate tuna fish every single day of his life from ages 12 to ages 30. And he did it because it was 50 cents cheaper than the other sandwich option. And then it gave him crippling mercury poisoning. And my father had crippling mercury poisoning when he inseminated me, which nearly...
So much tuna fish. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Then it gave him crippling mercury poisoning. And my father had crippling mercury poisoning when he inseminated me, which nearly...
Obviously, he means conceived. It's the evacuation issue. The same thing. It's the subject that gets acted on. He means when he conceived him. I hope that too much tuna fish addled Papa Lynch didn't, in a moment of haberdasher's insanity, just literally afflicted with a Victorian era Mad Hatter's disease. Yes, just like C.S. Lewis, fucking slumped in there. Rudyard, it's time to make a man of you. Rudy, I've had my tuna fish for the day. It's time to make a man of you. This is how we do it in Hackensack. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, dude. He's got everything.
Really killed him, and nothing worked, and he worked with Russian alternative healers who lowered his mercury blood pressure, and then he went on a trip to China for business, and then jacked up the mercury again. When I was scared about failing a test in high school, my dad took me to the local creek outside our house, and he said, look at this creek flow, Rudyard. This creek was here long before the white man came, and it was probably here before the native...
I like all this. You imagine, what hold on. Symptoms of Mad Hatter's disease. I'm not even kidding. This is real. That's what Mercury was. Fucking Mad Hatter's disease. They would soak the fucking mercury into their hat bands. Chronic mercury poisoning. Let's see. Symptoms, causes. What is that? What is Mad Hatter's disease? Severe neurological effects known as erethism. Jesus Christ. Can lead to headaches, behavioral changes, and weakness. It's uncommon. Young people and people who eat a lot of tuna fish have a higher risk. Oh my God. Inhaling mercury vapors, Mad Hatter's disease. Early symptoms, diarrhea, known as skin rash. Yeah, I knew that was one. Changes in mood, excessive shyness, tremors, insomnia, twitching, weakness, muscle atrophy, partial leg paralysis, headaches, poor mental function, changes in sensations, memory changes, personality changes. Fucking Rudyard, come here. Look in this creek. It's been flowing since before the white man has been here. It will be here after I'm gone. Maybe should you just talk like the Mad Hatter? Rudyard! Rudyard! This creek's been here since before the white man was even in this country. And it'll be here after I'm gone. Fucking pouring his tea with the fucking twitches.
Were there before the earlier group of natives had replaced another group of natives, and he said,
Rudyard, it's time to get inseminated.
You should know that so many of your worries are in your head, and you go out into nature and they're not there anymore. He told me that the way to get rich was to acquire useful skills, and then once you have enough useful skills, someone will pay you for a skill. And he said that there are certain hills you have to die on to be a man, and he said that when everything's said and done, the only thing that matters is that you stood where you needed to stand. He read to me and my sister...
That sounds like he's sagging to him. Now, Rudyard, there are certain skills you must learn to be a man. But if you want to grow, you need to stand where you stand. He's got this. Rudyard's crazy because he grew up literally in the looking glass. He came up out of the rabbit hole. That's why it feels like you're going down it when you fucking listen to WhatIfAltHist, because he came out of it. I'm late for a very important date. It's just that the whole fucking, all of C.S. Lewis is autism coded and also pedophilia coded, but mostly autism coded. It's all math jokes and being afraid of bossy women. And mercury poisoning and hanging out with psychos. You're fucking hanging out with a white rabbit. I'm late for a very important date.
Every single night for a decade. He read us all of Lord of the Rings, all of Narnia, some of Louis L'Amour, the autobiography of Lee Kuan Yew, Niall's Saga, and Dune, among like a dozen other books. He got me 20 of the great courses, or college-level courses, and played them in the car when I was a child so I could get an education with him. Then we would talk about those topics together. And my dad had a rule that I could only play strategy games until I was
Is that C.S. Lewis? Oh, fuck. Do I keep saying C.S. Lewis? That's fucking Narnia and Turn of the fuck. It is Screw Tape Letters. Who the fuck is goddamn Lewis Carroll? Fuck me. It's Lewis Carroll, right? Without looking it up. Whoops. Different Louis.
15. He said that he wanted to innately wire my neurology in a way so that I could think strategically on a basal level. He told me that this would do me more good in life than school would. At the company my dad worked at, he was one of the last people who ran a department that wasn't woke. The company was being stultified by bureaucracy, and when he retired, the company fell into a DEI bureaucracy that killed it. My father's become kind of...
Rudyard, let me tell you, there's nothing like letting blacks work in a bank to send it down the river. Dad, why did you lose your job, Dad? What happened to your bank? Well, let me tell you, little guy, the Jews came and ruined everything. What the fuck does Mad Hatter sound like in the Disney adaptation? Mad Hatter lines, Disney. This is an unbirthday party. I was inseminated by my father. He was full of mercury. This is an unbirthday party, Rudyard. Oh, no.
A hermit where he lives in the woods in Pennsylvania and avoids society because he thinks the public is stupid. And he, yeah, that's kind of his lifestyle. Like, I didn't really have any connections growing up because my dad lives as a hermit. And, he has a girlfriend, though.
Oh, I don't like to go outside.
He's a prepper. He has over a month of food and water at any given time in case stuff goes bad. I once asked...
In here, everything is safe. Have a seat at the table. We'll just have a little bit more tea. There's plenty of blacks and Jews outside. You gotta watch out or they'll steal from you, Rudyard. Come back to the unbirthday party.
Asked my father, because he's Catholic, how does it feel to be a papist? And he replied, let me consult with the Pope before I answer. Now we get to my mom's side of...
He called his dad a papist. Oh my god. Oh, dude, Rudyard is the strongest Klansman, bro. The strongest Klansman.
Family. My mom was born in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, to parents from Nebraska. This made her a Canadian citizen, which is an important plot point later. Her ancestry is mostly English, stemming from the third Albion seed migration the Quakers did from northwestern England to Pennsylvania and the Middle States. My grandfather grew up in one of the wealthiest families in Nebraska who ran an insurance company. He refused to take up the family business and instead decided to be a hippie as a young man. My mother is intensely resentful about this because she grew up in poverty and so she left and met my grandmother at Unitarian Church because they were both rebelling against their Presbyterian parents in Lincoln, Nebraska. And they got married. My grandmother went to Swarthmore and then dropped out because she loved my grandfather to be a homemaker with him. My grandfather had a background in computer mathematics, but he lacked the personal ability to hold a job. So my mother, her brother, and my grandfather traveled around the world as he tried to hold a job. My mom partly grew up in Nebraska.
My man's fucking like redlining his fucking hands, just trying not to call his own family gypsies. Rudyard, your unemployed relatives, they're just traveling around without a job. You know what kind of people they are. They can come to visit because they're blood, but lock everything up. Rudyard, your relatives are coming over. Make sure you lock up the silver.
Massachusetts, Iran, Maryland, North Carolina, Ontario, Alberta, amongst others. My grandmother is very left-wing. A funny story here is that when my mother told my grandmother that she was going to marry a Irish Catholic Republican, my grandmother said, who's very left-wing, she said,
it's a rich kid elegy.
You know, are you sure he'll want to have children? They're not like us, you know. They shouldn't have air conditioning in Texas for climate reasons. So she's very left-wing. And I once saw her reading a Afro-Indigenous history of America, and I joked, is there a biography for all 5 of them? Mother was valedictorian of her high school that she finished.
What?
She said, Oh, are you sure he'll want to have children? They're not like us, They shouldn't have air conditioning in Texas for climate reasons. So she's very left-wing. And I once saw her reading a Afro-Indigenous history of America, and I joked, is there a biography for all 5 of them? Mother was valedictorian.
I'm sorry. You out racist me. I don't even know what he means by that, but I know it's a barb and a half. What the fuck did he just say?
Of her high school that she finished in Worcester, Massachusetts. And then she went to Columbia University where she got a political science degree. My mom has a wide variety of interests and is incredibly intelligent between anthropology, religion, philosophy, chemistry, political science, mythology, religion. I think I said those already, etc. And she was instrumental in establishing my worldview in as profound a way as my father. My mother told me growing up that the moral values of the society would get more constrictive, so much so to a level that you would be unable to breathe in a society filled with so many social rules. And they said, Rudyard, you either have the choice of working with this system or breaking out of it and doing your own thing. And you can only really pick the
So yeah,
choice.
Mercury-powered racism is fucking like on a new level, dude. My man's tapping into the main vein. My dude's on like fucking like ascended fucking Hitler mystic post Mein Kampf grades of racism. He's establishing new fucking theories. It's crazy. Mercury powered super racism. Fuck yes, dude. Jesus Christ.
My mother was convinced that she was a psychic capable of communing with spirits. She would constantly tell me as a child that what the different spirits were telling her. She said she spoke to God and the devil and Mother Nature, and she'd said that the native spirits were not happy that the whites did not honor them after we conquered them, and this is why our society is so obsessed with land conquest, because in normal society you give the spirits an offering, but we haven't given them offerings. Politeness was incredibly important, and she kept on teaching me manners and class and politeness and self-respect because she said they'd end up becoming decisive to my life. And I was born in 2001. My parents were originally going to name me Noel, but when I was born, they said they could sense that I would grow up to be a writer, so they named me after the century-old poet Rudyard Kipling. They said that I just had too much energy to be named Noel because Noel's more of a bookish name. So for my sister as well, let me talk about her a little. She is a little bit younger than me. Was really creative when I was a kid. She was really into fantasy novels. She wrote multiple fantasy novels as her hobby. She knits for her hobby. She's made like dozens of sweaters, and she's really into Star Trek, and she loves her dog so much. She's a Maoist. She thinks the government should forcibly deindustrialize the economy, and she followed a lot of my mom's advice, so she moved up to Canada when I was a teenager. She went to a leftist university in Canada. She went to University of Toronto, one of the best colleges in Canada, and she left it believing that we had to forcibly deindustrialize the economy.
If I were to find out that WhatIfAltHist doesn't have like a little gold tin of fucking cocaine that he sniffs like consistently while he's trying to come up with ideas, I'll be upset. This is a man that was born for a top hat and one of those skinny little ties that you wear before you head on down to Whitechapel to slice up the whores. God damn. Dude, he has tapped into the from hell letter like 100%. This is Spring Heel Jack returned to us. Like what? We're wasting him. Said it. We have a fucking pure grade A, super sexy style Dante must die grade serial killer in the rough right here. Just wasting his time manifestoing. Like what the fuck?
And she believes it's immoral to have children, and she believes it's immoral to pass on her own culture, and so she's going to adopt a black baby she's going to adopt a minority rather than having one of her own babies. And she's a lesbian now. As I said before, I was born in Manchester by the Sea, which is this weird beach town in northern Massachusetts up by...
Oh, God. What? His kind of ring that he wears that holds one hit of coke. That's a demonic. That's a life raft for a drowning man. It's all starting to make sense now. We know he's mostly got the dominant parts Mercury and fish oil chromosomes.
In New Hampshire. My mom forced me to be born with a midwife around 4 a.m. since she believes hospitals killed the spirit of a child through how they birthed children. And she also forced me to get no vaccines as a kid since she believed they were dangerous to spiritual development. I have very few memories of Massachusetts, and we were the only outsiders in that town that had moved in for decades.
Understand that this is why there's an inheritance tax. Okay? This is why. If you think that Rudyard's alone, if you've never worked around rich people, this isn't remotely uncommon. They are like this. They are just like New Englanders are like this. I know it feels like wonder because this is him just like opening the books for us. This dude is opening the books for us, but I'm telling you right now, if you go to the Hamptons, about like what half of all of the people that you meet are going to be exactly the same. It's just the other people from his story. They're all there. Again and again and again and again and again. It's a bunch of Mercury-addled people. It's people that can still get prescribed laudanum. You know what I mean? People that have held on to their old slave collars because just in case. What do you got down there? Well, that's Grandpa's slave dungeon. We keep it nice just in case things ever go back to the way they ought to be. What? You go to somebody's house, like, I know we meant to take down the large glass display case with Grandpa's Grand Wizard uniform, but it's important to our family history, and we always put it on around Christmas and play Catch the Coal. We used to call it something else with a D word, but it's Catch the Coal. We burn the coal and put it in the fireplace. We just dress everybody up and we paint our faces dark, and someone puts on Grandpa's special suit and he chases everyone around the house and puts them in the fireplace. They used to play the game a little differently in 1910, but nowadays we still hold on to the traditions.
And thus the zoning board was able to kick us out of the town.
The Hamptons isn't New England, Tyler. You're all New England as far as I'm concerned.
And my mom was a horse and dog lady, and they made it basically illegal to have both animals in town. We were completely socially outcasted and forced to leave. When I was 4, my dad made the decision to move our family to Philadelphia. My parents, I think, are pretty objectively part of America's ruling class, but they kind of degenerated into rednecks and refused to take it. The thing I thought about the most was the forest. It's just trees everywhere in every direction, and that always got to me. I'd spend hours playing in the forest, and I was shocked that it went on forever. And it was so beautiful with all the animals and the grass and the creeks and stuff. That area of the country is super beautiful. It looks a lot like the Shire and this English rural ideal, but it's more wooded. And I just thought the world was an empty place growing up. We didn't even go to Philly that much. And so
Pause. We pause for the rabbit. We pause. Pause for the bunny. We hit 100 on the treat meter, which means Sweet Cheeks get a little sweet treat. Sweet Cheek. Whoop. Yeah. When I was in grade school, my mother outlawed black rabbits near our house because she felt that they carried the spirit of the devil in them. Look at this guy. What a gorgeous boy. What a beautiful little fella. Oh, excited. Very excited. That was just a binky. Oh, he hasn't gotten treats in a little while. He's fucking stoked, dude. Oh, hold on. We'll get back to Roger in just a second. Are you gonna bounce? Are you bouncing a little crazy man? Sweet cheek. Oh, he's fucking stoked. We might see him bouncing around. If you guys see him going crazy, if I hear him, I'll turn the bunny cam on again. He's gearing up for it.
I just remember seeing infinite trees. Both of my parents nearly died before I turned 6. My dad was from mercury poisoning. We spoke about that before. And my mom was kicked in the head by a horse. And I just assumed my mom was dead for the next 2 days. And she was brain dead. And I still remember the air siren going off as the ambulance came to get my mom. My sister, Valentine, and I were hiding under the kitchen aisle when the policeman said, "Hey, kids." My mom, after she nearly died, said that she had visited God. She said that God had forced her to come back to help people. This resulted in her immediately divorcing my father. My mom wanted us to all sleep in the same bed as a family, and my dad refused. I ran out of the bed, and then my dad spanked me. My mom then took my sister and me out of school and took me away from my dad's custody.
What the fuck? Okay. What?
My parents put me in this French language school in Philadelphia for stupid reasons I still don't understand. I would count every single day until I was out of school, and I had a tick because I saw school as slavery, and I watched the Ben-Hur scene as a child, and I empathized with the galley slaves, where I felt like I was like them. After my mom took my sister, she claimed that she took my sister and me. She claimed that my dad was an alcoholic who was beating her and my sister and me. There's literally no evidence for this at all. However, my mom is a literal schizophrenic that has different internal monologues which conflict with the other. She had no evidence at all for the claim and is mentally ill. She passed the Chester County test for not being mentally ill. And if my mom doesn't score mentally ill on a test, your test is broken. My mom really spiraled with getting kicked in the head by a horse. She had issues beforehand, and then it became massive.
I can't even. I have nothing to add. This is a fucking onslaught. Mom has schizophrenia, and if her schizophrenia test doesn't get you, you're crazy. She really spiraled out of control when she got kicked in the head by a horse. What? She's still alive. These are people, I think these people have jobs.
Entire life since that has been a downward spiral towards greater and greater madness as she loses touch with the world. Mom played the courts incredibly intelligently. It was basically an incentive structure thing where with the criticism, they were incentivized to accept the criticism because if there was any chance my dad was beating my mom and me, their career was over. So they sided with my mom out of their own basal self-interest. The court gave my mom full custody of me and my sister for years, and my dad was only able to see us a few hours in guided visitation. And my mom took 2/3 of my dad's money. I sided with my dad against my mom, and my sister sided with my mom, but it didn't matter. The court system sided with my mom. My mom said that God had told her the best way she could help human history was by torturing me. She said she did this since she loved me, and God told her that the more she tortured me, the more vastly disproportionate the impact on human history would be in a positive way. My mom abused me in ways I can't even put into words. I left my childhood feeling completely numb and just dead. My mom believed she would have an enormous breakthrough in the field of agriculture, in which modern agriculture was destroying the innate living biosphere, and she believed that by torturing me, she brought this fate closer. My mom started out as a sort of...
I have nothing to add. I'm shocked. Shocked into near silence. I have literally nothing to add to this at all, other than just experiencing it. Is his mom like doing Lysenko? Is his mom like...
socialist and communist who believed that there was going to be a revolution against the rich. And then she went through a Wicca phase, a Christian fundamentalist phase, and by the time I graduated high school, she was a far-right borderline fascist. She wanted America to be a WASP ethno-state where she believed the Jews, the banks, and the Catholics were destroying America. My father did something quite heroic here. He realized that my mom was crazy, and he spent 6 years fighting my mom in court for custody of me. He realized that if he didn't do this, his children would just be lost forever. The sanity, safety, and stability my father provided me is the thing that kept me alive. I would 100% have killed myself if he wasn't there. And he was finally able to get 1/3 custody of me and my sister. The Chester County court system gave the nickname that the Lynch family were the people who would never surrender an inch on anything. I learned to shut up since the courts clearly didn't care about anything I was saying, and I knew what game they were playing, in that I knew they were trying to get evidence to support my mom because it was the easier choice. And I dealt with like about half a dozen different social workers in order to assess custody, and none of them knew what was happening. And for multiple of the social workers, I just realized the game. I refused to speak. There was a guy called D'Amico who was a social worker who I declared war on him, and I just stared at the clock for the entire hour session because he was trying to pull concessions out of me. I once told the judge, "Are you deaf?" Since past a certain point, I knew nothing I said mattered. I was an insanely aggressive kid. I literally would play strategy games for 4 hours a day. They became my entire life, and I'd play games like Age of Mythology.
Hearts of Iron is going to get mentioned, right? That's your guys' thing. What in the fuck is going on right now? I just feel bad for the guy at this point. The mercury poisoning cum shot was probably the end of happy time. Can we go back to too much tuna fish? What the fuck? This person is describing all of the... These are all of the precursor conditions that lead to sociopathy. I'm just saying that first off. This is why we don't have kings. Genealogy obsessed, a child of abuse with ancient fucking pre-modern diseases of consumption in his family. Like I need one fucking tuberculoid family member, and we have literally traveled back in time to 1822. We're fucking there.
Age of Empires, Civilization, Total War, or Battle for Middle-earth, just to name a few. My mom had a rule that I could only play video games for 1 hour a day, but I broke that because my commute was 2 hours, so I played video games in those 2 hours, and my dad would subsidize and buy video games for me and let me play them as much as possible. And I think playing that many video games when I was in a traumatic experience was so good for me, in that it wired my brain in a lot of useful ways we'll see later in this video. I remember a moment when a teacher said, if as a class, we spent 1 hour a week doing math practice in 3rd grade, we could get an ice cream party at the end of the year. I told her no, since that doesn't add up, because hundreds of hours or dozens of hours of effort does not equal an ice cream lunch. It's just not a correct calculation. And she kept bullying me to do this until she gave up and let me go to the ice cream party anyway. And every single day I was in that French language school,
I've known people like him when I was growing up. He's bright, but he thinks he's the smartest person in the room. Peter, Vosh is here. That's the $2 I got. This is the metaphysical equivalent of Habsburg, bro. I
would count the hours until the day end. I told my parents multiple times a week how much I hated that school, and they only took me out after 4 years to put me in public school, finally. I actually really enjoyed going to public school. Everyone was really nice to me, and I made a lot of friends. I even got along with the teachers, which I thought was impossible because I was so combative. When I was in 4th grade, one of the teachers saw a map I made, and she said, "Rudyard, you're going to be famous when you grow up." Culture of the area I grew up in, Chester County at the time, was called God, Guns, and Horses. And over time, it became more left-wing, and it got pacified. And the way to see the Northeast is that in Pennsylvania is you got a series of different subcultures. So the way the greater Philly area goes is you have Midwestern Protestants, Catholic Northeasterners, and Black Southerners. And where I grew up felt like a cultural extension of the Midwest. It felt like it could be completely Ohio. Where when I was in middle school,
his geographic breakdown of Pennsylvania matches nothing of what I saw when I was there. I don't know what he's talking about at all. I know he was raised there. But other people from Pennsylvania have talked about this, and they're like, what are you talking about, homie? Okay, I got
curriculum and histories of how the American Revolution was amazing. Then all our history teachers were members of the NRA and they owned guns. Our Boy Scouts leaders were former Vietnam vets. It's very much that kind of culture. To change topic to something less pleasant, my mom started to spiral into bizarre conspiracy theories that my father had bands of thugs who were vandalizing her property.
Oh, fuck
Chester
yeah.
County cycles through judges, and my mom accused each of the different...
His mom started... She got gang stalked. Oh, fuck off, dude. He's from Silent Hill, Pennsylvania. I mean... Yeah. This guy... Dude, this is the gifted child that was actually gifted. Mercury-induced insanity. He's got... extra chromosomes for sure. That's how you know he's fucking built well. He's got them extra chromosomes in him.
And any social worker who stood against her of corruption charges. And the 3rd judge built up a personal vendetta against my mom and demanded that every future case that involved her go through her. This judge saved me so much suffering, and I literally emailed her to thank her as an adult. My mom shot one of her horses to frame my father for killing it. My mom would also keep 5 cats from one of her friends in a tiny closet in Fairleigh.
One of her horses is crazy. I want to watch this show so fucking... I want to watch this show so fucking bad. So fucking bad. Every season... I'm 3 seasons in. This is like Succession. But with people that never owned the businesses. It's like... Succession. The Tom Wamsgams years. Fucking what in the fuck, man? Schizophrenia and mercury poisoning is a crazy combo. We apparently haven't even hit the fucking depths of it yet. His mom had multiple horses. She shot one to frame his dad. His mom did a Sopranos plotline. Rudyard Lynch's mom killed Pyomai? What the fuck?
He had air. This is a weird tangent, but my mom was also obsessed with the FBI stalking her. I have suspicions...
This is a weird tangent is not... No, it's not. Rudy. Your weird tangents are like me fucking being pulled out of the bucket someone's drowning me in right now so I get like 2 seconds of sweet, cool air down my fucking windpipe. If you're just talking about... You went from the horse murder framing to like just the most normal thing ever, which is like, I feel like I'm being stalked by the FBI. Okay, that's normal. All right, thank God. We breathing at the surface. We're at the surface again. The surface of the water. Then when next time we go back down? Like, dude, we started this off with mercury-laced cum shots. I fucking know. What in the fuck?
My mom was involved in the secret government testing program MK Ultra, given they sourced from places like Columbia Political Science Department at that very moment, as far as I've researched. Also know that she was molested.
Louder,
and I'm scared to even say stuff like this on this video, so she moved my sister and me against my father's consent to downtown Philly. This really disappointed me. I went to a Quaker school in Philly, and I was raised a Quaker because my mom has lots of Quaker ancestors, and my dad thought I should be raised Protestant. And Quakers are really big in that region of Pennsylvania because they founded it. And I attended 2 Quaker services a week for years straight. I've attended Quaker services for most of my life. And people have said to me that Quakerism has had an enormous impact on how I see the world. And that makes sense to me. My mom was a horse lady, and she also taught me how to ride. I was a pretty good horseman as a kid, and my mom said it's important because horseback riding teaches you leadership, because most leadership is implicit through body language and how you carry yourself, which is how horses communicate. And she said, quote, "Deal with a horse as you would deal with a woman or a crowd. They are emotional prey animals."
Hey, yo. Vosh mention, very based. Part 2.
The move to Philadelphia was one of...
My man said I was not... My man Mick Poiled. What in the fuck was the Mick Poile jump cut? Look at this. Look at this Mick Poile jump cut.
Or a crowd. They are emotional prey animals. The move to Philadelphia...
The gay son or thought daughter of New England is what? Mercury-addled father or schizophrenic mother? Would you rather have a schizophrenic horse-murdering mother or a elevated, ultra-racist, mercury-addled father? Is he wearing eyeliner? Yes. I'm just going to say yes at this point. That looks like eyeliner. Egg. 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 I mean, who's the other schizophrenic, mercury poisoning addled person I can think of? He's what, Herbert Hoover? Right? From the guy from the FBI, right? Didn't he cross-dress and stuff? He's like, it's the same dude.
Philadelphia was one of the most instrumental turning points of my life. My father still lived out in the exurbs, and so I'd commute between both. I moved from a completely car-dependent society to one that was one of the most walkable places in America. Philly has such a warm place in my heart, and it has a bad reputation for obvious reasons, given it's the poorest and most crime-filled of America's.
Dude, like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, literally. Always Sunny McPoyles. It's this. Did the fucking creators of Always Sunny know the Lynch family? Because I mean, like, dude, come on, you're fucking with me, man. What? I didn't even know the first time I think I made this joke that he was from Philadelphia, but Always Sunny in Philadelphia predicted this. He's the guy. Random poisonings and do the fucking Always Sunny people know the Lynch family and they just called them the McPoyles? They live in a gigantic house. They're all fucking bathing with each other, sleeping in the same bed. Bro, hold the fucking phone. Let me look up. Mick Poyle's Always Sunny wiki. An inbred family known for their insatiable lust for milk and each other. Twins Liam and Ryan are the most prominent. Ryan, Rudyard. Wait, we know what his fucking family members were named. I don't have it in me. An entire clan built from inbreeding, brothers Liam and Ryan proudly expressed their incestuous relationship with each other along with their deaf-mute sister Margaret. According to Liam, the McPoyles once had legions of thousands sturdy who ruled America until syphilis killed about half of them and Mongoloidism got most of the rest. They have numerous other siblings and family members numbering to about 14, all of whom show the distinctive McPoyle trait, which is composed of unibrows and eczema. They also have a brother named Doyle, who's an aspiring football player. They are enemies with Charlie for foiling their plan to profit from a bogus molestation lawsuit against the school district, and with the rest of the gang for ruining Doyle's chance of playing for the Philadelphia Eagles when Frank accidentally shoots him in the leg. A conflict arose between Ryan and Liam when the latter decided to get engaged to Maureen Ponderosa, an unacceptable decision to his brother given that their bloodline had been kept pure and clean for 1,000 years. The two eventually make up when Liam reveals his true motive for marrying Maureen, which is to taint the blood of others and allow the McPoyles to take over the world. Unfortunately, the plan never came to fruition as Maureen's brother, Bill, spikes the milk with bath salts and turns the McPoyle clan into flesh-eating zombie-like creatures. In the end, Liam gets his right eye ripped out and eaten. They invest a video renting store, which they believe to be an emerging market. When Mac and Dennis drop by to rent a movie, they vehemently deny them service and hold them responsible for the loss of Liam's eye. This form of leverage gets them invited to the gang's Thanksgiving party, which was a well-meaning but poorly executed attempt to squash the beef with the people they have hurt. The brothers agree to attend, expecting to get an eye, or at the very least an apology, but instead they were locked in the apartment with the other attendees during a food fight, while unbeknownst to them, a fire had started. Hold on, let's see. The judge throws him out of court. I see. Ah, damn, I was wondering if there's McPoyle mercury poisoning. Hold on. Oh, what? Reddit. It's always sunny. Pappy McPoyle, Guillermo del Toro on set. Pappy McPoyle. Hold the fuck on. Mercury poisoning. Pappy's deranged speech about how all the McPoyles sprung from his loins fully formed and he proceeded to eat one of them babies seems to allude to classical mythology, specifically the Greek myth of Kronos devouring his children before being slain by Zeus. Furthermore, his wild-eyed, disheveled appearance and beard may be a reference to Goya's painting Saturn devouring his son. I need to know if he has fucking mercury poison. Oh my God. I feel like I'm onto something. Damn it. It doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. Okay, I'll get back to
top 10 largest cities. But
I think I have a deep suspicion. That the Always Sunny people know of the Lynches, and that maybe the Lynches are better known in Philadelphia than I've ever anticipated, because the fucking McPoyle clan looks and talks like the fucking Lynch clan. I'm saying it. I think it's true. I think it's real. I think there's a connection.
But it has wonderful culture, architecture. It's affordable, historic, and walkable. I'm a walker by nature, and I would walk across downtown Philly from Camden to UPenn as a way to clear my head. Because for me, walking and thinking are the same process. And this was a really important period of my life, since around age 13, I gained self-awareness about who I was as a person, where beforehand it was like I was on autopilot more so. And I had several really important breakthroughs around the time of age 13. One was that I hadn't really ever read a book until I was age 12. And then I looked at a book my dad owned, and I realized, wait, if I'm physically capable of reading a single page of this book, that means because it's a repeated task. I could read 1,000 pages easily, because if I can read a single page, I can do the task on repeat since I know how to do it. And that was The Book of Swords by Fred Saberhagen. And I have, starting at age 14, read 70 to 80,000 pages a year and around 80 books a year. And I've maintained that consistently.
70,000 to 80,000 pages a year isn't necessarily 70 to 80 books. It's actually, I think, more. Okay, no, that doesn't matter.
For over a decade. And there has nearly never been a day where I have not read in the last decade. I started this channel on my 13th birthday, where I stopped playing video games when I became a teenager, and I got into alternate history as my hobby. And I would spend a lot of time on alternate history forums, where I just didn't think they were that good, if I'm honest. The alternate history community is kind of amateur, because it's probably lots of people like me who are in a certain developmental stage of their lives. And so I thought I could make better alternate histories. I had nothing better to do. I hated school. And so I tried to make an alternate history wiki account, and that was too difficult with the account process they have. So I started making an alternate history YouTube channel, and I was really inspired by the book.
I will not hear any bad mouthing of fucking Rudy Lynch in the chat, all right? The day that the fucking Mercury, the living Mercury fucking nutshot gained fucking sapience and discovered literacy is not to be fucking talked lightly about, all right? We would not be here today if he hadn't been just sitting there going like, what if I turn the page in a book and see what's on the next page? My man fucking cracked the code, okay?
Book series Time Riders, which is a young adult sci-fi alternate history series. And Cody from Alternate History Hub was my biggest inspiration. And I wanted to make a channel like Alternate History Hub as a teenager. And for the first 7 years, I made alternate history content. You can scroll through the old channel. It's stuff here. And for the first 7 years, I made alternate...
That's in his video. Do you hear that? Is that his stomach? Or is that somebody... Like, do you hear that creepy mumbling? Haunted house? Listen to this. Listen.
I wanted to make a channel like Alternate History Hub as a teenager. And for the first 7 years...
Do you hear that? My man dude, okay. He has ascendant schizophrenia. This is a ghost hunter moment. You guys just heard the fucking spirit that's whispering to him. You heard it transcend through the white noise of the phone, of the microphone he's speaking to. This is a dark moment, all right? We've all just been cursed. Thankfully, if you go to our Discord and post "Thank you, Piss Bunny" and touch grass, you'll be protected. Okay, that's an amulet against his dark magics. But what the fuck?
Years, I made alternate history, make a channel like Alternate History Hub as a teenager, and for the first 7 years.
What the fuck is that? Oh, dude, I'm going with the fucking darkest interpretation. You can hear a demon in the Rudy Lynch video. You can hear there's a demon in the background. I heard it. I was listening, and he's in Philadelphia. A dark place, very dark. They tried to kill me. One of his misshapen relatives tried to put a bullet in old Ding Dong. Donnie Trump, he missed. Inbred Mick Boyles trying to kill me. I heard the demon. It was in the video.
Years, I made alternate history content. You can scroll through the old channel. It's stuff like what if the South won the Civil War? What if the dinosaurs never went extinct? And keep in mind, for the first 5 years of my channel, I had less than 500 subscribers total. I literally bought the microphone I used for the channel with money I made from the channel 5 years in. You can tell that because the mic quality sucked. It was a meme for commenters on my channel for the longest time. And I was obsessed with this. I would literally work on Christmas to avoid my family and just making content for the channel. And I read 40 books of alternate history as a teenager because I was bored and it was my thing. And I think people have commented upon alternate history's effect on my current philosophic views because alternate history assesses the world in a probabilistic manner based on causation, and that's instrumental in my worldview. I think alternate history, my dad's background in banking analysis, and strategy video games are 3 really important influences in how I think, which look at basically causation and strategic decision making. When I moved from Chester County to Philly, I moved from a majority conservative area to a very left-wing.
I can't believe this is cut down, is the craziest part. Like, this is trimmed. You really do have to experience the entirety of the ramblings of a madman to appreciate them for reals. This is great. We'll do this as a series, maybe, as we go down the line. We'll watch some more of these, but fuck me, man.
I went from a society that seemed pretty close to John Hughes or The Simpsons stereotypical America from decades ago, which I just assumed was how America was. In Philly, our elite are WASPs, and so I assumed that that was the ruling class structure across America, and that America was still the way it was in the 20th century. And I was so shocked to see the World Economic Forum types, because I just didn't think they existed. It was a crazy wake-up.
Foreigners? Dude, ascended racism. Like, God, like, you can't even. People are like, fucking, I've said this before, that you have not, like, really experienced, like, racism out there. Like, there's banalities of it, okay? People can be mistreated by racist pieces of shit. But you sort of have to have your foot in the door to, like, get to, like, the back end of racism, right? Back of the house. Most people get counter-service racism, right? Which is more than enough, all right? You get mistreated, beaten up by a cop, murdered, that kind of shit. That's, like, the end result. The developmental, like theoretical racism, like advanced racism, you're at a lecture, fucking course 2933, 6-person, you have to write an essay just to get into the lecture class, grade racism is something else. Like, if you haven't seen it happen or been around it, you don't get it until you're there. Like, this is, I would have never, he said World Economic Forum people. That's a 10, dude. This is like the racism bee, he's killing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, give me a term for all non-whites from a different, like, country, all right? Like, a single term for all non-whites from a different country. Like, other races, you'd be like, oh, fucking foreigners. I don't know, fucking some, like, little, like, thing. You got, like, like, this weekend, right? Conservative Indians had to be reminded of their place in the fucking pecking order. They thought that they had, like, some sort of value outside the money that they give to white people, and then the fucking white people are like, oh, no, hold on. You need to go back to your country too, my friend. Like, that happened, that moment. But like the low level racists, they only say like they start calling Indian people Jews. All right, like, hey, you fucking Jew, whatever the fuck, blah, blah, blah. And that's horrible, obviously. But that's low level. My man said World Economic Forum people, which you have to think your way through. It's like, dude, it's like watching a ballerina land a crazy move. You're like, how in the fuck did you get there? Like, what? Well, by what crooked paths did you master such crude fucking wizardry? Like, it's psychotic, dude. My man's he's like, this is Thay necromancy, all right? This is Dungeons and Dragons. He's like from the Thay school, right? The thing where you're walking around all of a sudden, you're like, hey, this is a book that you shouldn't look at or read. He's like, I've read all of them. Fucking, he's at Lich King level racism. My man's 15 phylacteries deep, okay? The DM's like, you can't have another phylactery, and then he just says, I made 2 while you were reading the rules, and I'm just gonna pretend they're real anyway, and then you have to play. You have to play on. He's deep in it. He's so, like, I'm not even really kidding. He's trying to make up new racism. That's like why people like Hitler. Okay, it wasn't just the murdering the Jews thing. Racists also like him because they're like, I didn't even think of it that way. That's crazy that you fucking like this, huh? And Hitler's like, yeah, like this. This is how you'll do it. Like this. Got these racisms. Rudy Lynch is over here trying to fucking invent new racism and succeeding. This dude is on top of his game. Like, you don't give out awards for this. Other than, I guess, maybe trips to the brick wall or Nuremberg eventually. But, like, this is why he's never going to really fade that much. Sure, some people are like, wow, you're crazy. The people that like WhatIfAltHist for racist reasons are going to eat this. This is God tier shit. This is like legitimately Mein Kampf grade nonsense. He's just talking into a camera. He hasn't written it out super well. But there's a Goebbels out there somewhere for this. Like, that is just like, oh, fuck me. What did you just say? Oh, I would build a camp for that. Like, you understand? I know you're like, oh, who would buy this? This seems crazy. I know, like, mid-level white people. No, my friend. This appeals to elevated racists. You know the kind of guy that was like literally, I don't know, maybe has mercury poisoning? One of the 1,100 people with a mercury poisoning in a country of 350 million? People that have gout, that walk around with like canes with crystals on them with little bugs no one's ever seen trapped in the fucking amber and shit. Like they're all sitting around. That someone fucking creeps into their little fucking, their cloister. They sit in cloisters under fucking large buildings or at the top of them. So I need to show you this. And then the guy comes in and they're like fucking, oh, yo. They're all getting excited. Their fucking bosomed chests are popping around these fucking clinking gold chains. They're like, we've been waiting for this shit. Oh, dude, we're going to get another Holocaust. Like, this is fucking high-level racism. We haven't seen this since the 1930s. This is why he's been reading the old books. My man is trying to Hitler 2.0 himself like crazy. Like crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, the setup is there. We're kind of getting into like Hindenburg eras. You know, we had our Hindenburg. Joe Biden was kind of our Hindenburg. This motherfucker right here, whatever people think Trump's doing, if you start fucking hearing people like, I got the new Rudyard Lynch book, and I don't know, he makes some good points. You know, and you're like, what? How do people listen to Hitler? He sounded like fucking crazy. And you're like, oh, he made some good points. Trains run on time. You know, like that. That's what is going to be from this. This guy is fucking. This is the thing that you're supposed to be worried about. My man is on another plane of existence when it comes to fucking like psychosis. You'll never beat out like, well, I think racism is bad because it causes, in a utilitarian sense, harm down the line. No, he just went, look, what you need to understand is I'm from a line of Scottish that came to this country by the conqueror's hand. Our metal fists, as we raised them against the savages of the land and turned them into productive folk in their little hovels, we did strike at the heart of productivity, and the industrial greatness that arose is because we were present. And we, like you, do understand our nature in this land. I live as a man of honor in spite of the death I may meet for my words. Like, dude, that shit is like all in tickling the fucking racist brain. Like the true, like guy who's like, I would get a job as the head of the FBI to kill some black people. Like that level racist, not just like, I don't like them. Like, I want to achieve like high level, like crypto fascist power in order to like maybe like facilitate the mass murder of people I'm not a big fan of. Like those people are hearing this shit like, fuck. He needs a little bit of a cleanup, but we put a uniform on him. This motherfucker is going to crack off. This shit's fucking insane, bro.
Call when I became an adult traveling around the country how backwards Philly is compared to other places. And I jumped from a 3 out of 10 wokeness to an 8 out of 10 wokeness. The small private Christian high school I went to had become what was by all accounts a leftist seminary. I hated that ideology ever since I first saw it. Teachers would openly say in class that there were too many white men in science and academia, and I was forced to go through what amounts to constant humiliation rituals in school as a white male.
This right here, a fucking Sam Hyde's audience would eat that shit up like crazy. Humiliation ritual. Like, my man's, this is deep esoteric racism. If you've never heard of this stuff, like humiliation rituals and shit. My dude, he's spitting. I know we're making fun of him. The mercury poison is hilarious, but as a fucking, like, in as far as racism goes, Rudy is fucking spitting right now. Like, this is manifesto grade shit. He's articulate. He's a creepy wizard sneaking down. If he's not the Hitler, he's the Hitler's fucking like, I've got some ideas. You know, you hear like, oh, that guy was the architect of the Holocaust. He's getting his architectural studies degree right now. Fucking madness.
I read 1984 as a teenager and knew that the ideology I saw in school was the exact same ideology as that dominated 1984. I was a centrist until I was in college, but I started watching Sargon
He's
of
the
Akkad,
chef to watch his grape juice.
I vowed to fight back against an ideology that would push this. I just wanted revenge against the left, if I'm honest. Things got pretty bad in high school. The year after I graduated, they turned the entire humanities curriculum into leftist-based. This included race and science in the Roman Empire, as well as not talking about the French or Industrial Revolutions in the history curriculum or the World Wars, to spend more time talking about slavery. We had a mandatory social justice week to celebrate social justice causes, where my school flew in a speaker from New Mexico to say that using violence to push social justice was justified. It was basically impossible to not be a leftist. My school, for example, had a 3-year history award. I never won the history award, I suspect because I wasn't left-wing. I barely passed school in both middle school and the start of high school. I basically hacked the system by doing lighting and stage production for my school's plays. And then you have 2 to 3 hours of homework a night. That's like a Chinese work schedule. And I'm so deeply resentful of being forced to do this for my youth. I could have been doing fun stuff, but you forced me to do classes and you forced me to do work that had zero application for the rest of my life. And at the end of middle school, I couldn't see the whiteboard since my eyes were too poor. My mom refused to get me glasses for over a year since she said I didn't need them. And when my parents finally got me glasses, grades improved. I'm very resentful of this because I'm an innately nocturnal person. I go to sleep at 2 to 3 a.m. right now. And when I went to elementary school, the school was an hour away. And so my sister's school started earlier because she went to middle school when I went to elementary school. And so I would sit in the school parking lot for an hour playing video games until the school started. And I'm still very resentful about having to wake up early. There was zero reason you had to do this. And one of the things my high school did really well was it hired eccentric teachers, which let students be creative. When I was in high school, I made an independent study where I wrote a 250-page screenplay about the fall of Rome that followed 4 families around the Battle of Adrianople. I was in computer science class with a teacher who was a video game designer, and we had to make video games in computer science class. I told my teacher, who's a cool guy, he's made a great video game called Jamestown, about Martians, space warfare 200 years from now, based off 17th century England. I said I wanted to make a strategy game based off 17th century Poland, Lithuania. He told me I wasn't physically capable of doing that, and I took that as an insult to my honor, so I spent 4 hours for weeks. My religion teacher and I became quite close. My school had a theology program that was actually quite useful for me. I learned a lot of really important theology there, and they had a Mennonite teacher who, when he retired, was replaced by a black Muslim, former Black Panther. But he was an awesome dude. He went to Harvard, and he converted to both Islam and Christianity at different times. And he gave me a lot of spiritual guidance as a teenager. We would hang out for years after school, and he studied philosophy, and he was okay with me being a conservative. And he said that I was actually going to found a religion when I was in high school, and that was what I'd be good at. And I also ran a fight club in the basement.
God damn fucking Nation of Islam guy said, I think you're going to found a religion. Oh no, dude! He got set on the path. He got the writ. He got the writ. Oh my god!
School where we whack each other with rubber weapons, and then we would basically bet on who would win with no money. It was a lot of fun, and most of the people from my high school are screwed. And I could see how desperate people were in the jobs market. So I basically made a rationalistic calculation that the only way I could succeed as an adult was by being an entrepreneur, because I couldn't develop in the system that had ruled society through the bureaucracy, because I knew the bureaucracy hated me, and I knew that I just assumed I was going to work a minimum wage job because I didn't know what else I was going to do. There were no opportunities around me. Like, I don't know what other people's lives are. Do people like, I don't even know what it looks like to have opportunity out of college. I don't fucking know, dude. Yeah, but I remember I couldn't sleep at night.
Dude, I looked away for a second. He's saying so much shit. He ran a fight club. I'm fucking smoked right now.
In high school. I remember staring at the ceiling, thinking of various schemes so I could be an entrepreneur, because I knew there was a limited window before society fell apart where I had to become a successful entrepreneur in that limited window. So I had crippling anxiety about how do I become a successful CEO before society falls apart. Because in high school, I sensed in my gut that the world order would collapse because I had stabbing pains in my gut when I was 16, and I had imagined the city of Philly getting shelled and destroyed. And so I sensed it on an energetic level, which is why I studied geopolitics.
Okay. He had physical manifestations of pain in his stomach because he was worried about the fall of society. Oh my God, dude. We are like, okay. If this dude, if he was a little less stupid and like could put his shit together and write well, I think he could put together like a true manifesto, the kind that you have to like reference after the war. You're trying to figure out why it started. Holy fuck.
And I read 10 books on China when I was in high school because I thought the great threat to America would be China. So I studied China really deeply.
He's a psycher.
So I'm going to just throw in some stories from high school that don't really fit together but are fun anyway. So my school had a gender studies class, which I took senior year. The teacher was pretty cool as well, where she was like this 30-year-old Irish-American lady, and her attitude was, I don't care what you say as long as you position it in a rationalistic argument. So the gender studies class was fun, where I learned all this leftist social constructionist propaganda, but she was happy to have me argue the point back to the class, because she said me arguing against the point forced the class to get their arguments better. And so for my final essay for it, I wrote about why I thought we shouldn't have gender relativity, and she gave me a 99%. I got a 99% in my gender studies class. My best friend was a Chinese American guy from Shandong. And so what my school did was they took in out a third Chinese kids. My school was mostly gay and Chinese people. And Then they charged the Americans 80% less of the ticket fee using the Chinese to subsidize them. But my Chinese friend and I, we would get drunk a lot, and he had a bunch of different sub-businesses. He was from a wealthy family in China, and we kind of bonded over our innate entrepreneurial sense. He had a deal with Chinatown where I'd go hang out and I'd drink and I'd eat in Chinatown in Philly, which is a great place. And he would translate for Chinese businesses as his job. So he'd go to Chinatown and then he...
So I think this is in high school. So he was going to Chinatown and getting shit-faced. What? Oh, fucking little Rudy leaving his schizophrenic mom's house to go get shit-faced in Chinatown. Dude, this is shit that hasn't been available to most people. Like, this sounds like we're trying to discover the villain origin of some guy in a Humphrey Bogart film. He was down there when he was 17, drinking in Chinatown with the rest of those types. Maybe popping in and out of heroin dens. He bought and sold flesh like any other butcher. But this was alive, and he walked out the door just the same way it walked in. I found him cold in an alleyway, pistol in his hand, smoke at his hip, but I didn't know just then how dark and deep the rabbit hole was. The subject, Rudyard Lynch. The investigation, homicide.
He'd talk to the Chinese store owners and he'd do their American paperwork. And in exchange for that, there was a liquor store where they let us buy alcohol.
No, I didn't miss that at all, Well of Havoc. I got it. I don't know if I just mentioned it. At 15, he was drinking Four Locos. My man's fucking, like, literally ascending. Fuck, dude. Yeah, it was a warning. Yeah, he's, like, literally articulating himself as a prophet. That's what I meant to say. He's being delivered physical signs of an impending doom. My man's huffing the fumes in fucking Delphi. This is awesome. Jesus Christ.
Underaged. For 1/3 the ticket price. And we would get, they didn't speak English, so Four Loko, which is what we drink, which I'd never drink that now. It tastes terrible. They call it Four Lock. So we would just get cans of Four Lock and then hang out at his apartment and just get plastered together. And that's what I did through senior year. And my Chinese friend and I, we stayed together for like a year after the channel got big. But he was kind of a dick and he was kind of disrespectful to me, which is, I've had like 3 or 4 Chinese friends and they all try to exploit you. That's what I consistently find. Chinese people are very short-sighted, or they're in their relationships, they're very exploitive, especially if they're from communist China, which stripped away their culture. And I wanted to study science initially. And what I found as a teen...
Do you see how clean he adds that in? Like, just how clean he adds that? I've had a lot of Chinese friends. You should understand that the Chinese are cultureless, duplicitous sneak thieves. Like, what the fuck? They're fine for a weekend drink, but you can't trust them to... They're fine for a weekend drink, but never leave your pocket watch on a table in Chinatown and look away. It felt like he had to add that. He was like, oh, hold on, though. They were my friends, but they were cultureless sneaks. The bug people always wanted something from me. I never let them get it past me, though. What the... My only friends in the senior year of high school.
Teenager looking into science is that science has basically become a new priest class where you can't learn it unless you're part of the university system that tells you the science. So I studied history instead because I could get a complete history education from my school's library and from buying $4 books at the bookstore. My school would have assemblies almost every single week. So we'd have church on Wednesday and we'd have assemblies on Tuesday. With the assemblies, I had a bet going with my friends 2 years in a row. First year, every single assembly that was about race, I get a quarter. Literally any other topic, my friend gets a quarter. I made money. Second year, trans identity and sexual identity. Every assembly on that topic, I would get a quarter. Anything else, my friend would get a quarter. I made money that year, too. So they were just shoving this leftist propaganda at us all the time.
Oh, my
God. For those
God.
who don't know, Philly is almost a hereditary monarchy where there is a ruling the ruling family. Or
Dude, this is funny. Crowder's rolling in divorce court knowing there's someone more racist than him. No, this is because, like, he's Canadian, all right? Crowder's a closeted homosexual that wants to play at fucking conservative ideology because he's a failed creative, right? He's a voice of brain on Arthur, right? He's a little actor that failed, so he's upset with society This is a homegrown, boiled from industrial malpractice American racist, okay? Like, this is a product of 3 or more centuries of phrenology and Gabino grade fucking racial science. Like, Crowder is an idea of a racist. He's playing at racism. It takes him work and effort to accomplish what fucking WhatIfAltHist does, remembering with fondness his childhood. Crowder has to like get a camera crew down and find a black person to harass. Rudyard can't remember a moment without it being like racist. Steven Crowder's over here like, we're being replaced, blah, 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 blah. Fucking Rudyard Lynch is like, in my visions as a child while I was drinking in Chinatown, I saw the collapse of America. I saw the bombs blowing apart downtown Philadelphia. And in those moments when I felt the realness of my vision stabbing into my stomach, rending me apart, I feared for America, and I did learn the way forward. Like, bro. There's nothing Steven Crowder has ever said that would make him not look like a bitch if he said it. Carrying like a fucking torch on a horse. These are wizard speeches from Dungeons and Dragons about any moment in his childhood. Fucking Rudyard's on another plane of existence. He's past beyond. He is developed. He was a purpose-born ultra-racist. If you are an anti-racist and you're religious at all, Rudyard Lynch is your test from God. Like, this guy is a different animal completely. He's having visions, physically painful hallucinations of the end of America, and I believe him because I know that he's just literally competing for the 100% composition of his body is mercury poisoning, Asperger's, and fucking schizophrenia, which he is hereditarily afflicted by. He won the genetic lottery for mega racism. Like, literally, he is the chosen one. This motherfucker is crazy. He is, dude. Crowder could never, dude. If you saw those two talking, like, eventually, like, I guarantee you, Rudy would be like, so what are you descended from? Are you people of the swamp persuasion? You seem like you have some Swedish coastal indigenous in you. Like, Crowder tried to fucking call him gay or some shit or woke, and fucking, like, WhatIfAltHist to, like, literally appear behind him with calipers. As I suspected, 0.4% African. Like, dude, I swear to God, he's probably, his biggest regret is that he can't trace his lineage to the blood letters of Carthage. If we found out during this, he's like, I discovered in my research that I am actually of the 10% of humanity that is not related to the Mongol hordes that conquered Byzantium. Like, what? Rudyard is different. He is literally built different, but it's not an exaggeration. He is a literal accumulation of the most psychotic possible fucking ingredients. It's not real. I can't fucking believe this. This is insane. Never die. Don't die. Never kill yourself. There's always a new day. What in the fuck?
Union, the Dohertys, they're Irish political bosses, and they control Philly's politics, and they determine who wins in the elections. One of my friends was campaigning for a candidate against the Dohertys, and it was just ridiculous because the Doherty candidate was going to win. And of the top 10 donors to the Democratic Party, the only union is the Electricians Union of Philadelphia, and the top 10 donors. The only city is the city of Philadelphia. So the Dohertys control Philly. They have thugs beat up their opponents. They hold on to power, while Philly's gone into decline due to the socialist policies they push and deindustrialization. And the centralized government doesn't call them out because they are the top donors of the Democratic Party. But the guy I went to school with was really cool. He was a great guy, and he invited me to a lot of different events. He took a liking to me. And then he was invited me to football games. Every single football game I was supposed to go, my dad had another thing that weekend, so I couldn't go. But it's weird that I was pretty close to... I just find it strange because my life has so many different timelines, and that was a timeline where I intersected against it, and I didn't go there. And another moment is I went to a music concert in... I think it's the Jay-Z concert. It's on JFK Boulevard. They block out the area around the art museum. And I went there with some friends, and...
Hold on. Is he talking about Doherty or is he pronouncing Doherty weird? Because this actually, he's not crazy. It's he's doing dude, it's a papist. It's a papist conspiracy theory. Oh, bro. This is crazy. There's bishops and all sorts of people. There's Cardinal Dennis Joseph Doherty, 1918 to 1951. He was oversaw like the abuse. Gave indications at the RNC and DNC. Cardinal Doherty. I don't know. Maybe that's Doherty. There's also Dohertys too. Johnny Doc Doherty is a former labor leader in Philly, business manager of the powerful IBEW, Local 98, and a prominent political figure who helped numerous Democratic candidates get elected by directing donations of volunteers connected to fraud. Yeah, dude, these guys are crazy. He's on it. Johnny Doc. Dude, that's a good criminal name.
We were at a Nicki Minaj concert. I remember being in the front because my friends were more extroverted than me, so I went up to the front, and then it was Nicki Minaj music all the time. And I thought, this is literally hell, because Nicki Minaj was screaming ass, 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 and I was being jostled by like white 13-year-old girls next to me, and I thought, I was having sensory overload. I thought, this is legitimately hell. I just want to highlight this, where there was a moment after so it was senior year, it was April of senior year, and I had just finished all my college applications, and it was a Monday night, and I was partying with my Chinese friend, and I was drunk, and I was getting on a train from Jefferson Street Station to go out to my dad's house in the suburbs. I remember sitting at the train line. I remember looking out over the city. And Philadelphia was so stunningly beautiful. It was this beautiful line of lights stretching in every direction, and I could see all the old architecture.
This guy's planned out with a Ben Gesserit.
Thank you so much, God, for giving us this world, because I will hold on to this moment forever, God, so thank you. Speaking of Chinese guys, there was another very interesting character who went to my high school. And I see him in some ways as a Chinese equivalent to me. He would constantly berate and insult people, and he would talk about how naive Americans were. At the same time, though, if he's my Chinese parallel, he's a sociopath. He was a legitimately bad person, and he was rude to everyone. He was abrasive, and all my Chinese friends have tried to screw me over at some point. And secondarily, he had no interest in underlying depth, where he was just constantly learning stuff to look oppressive.
In chapter 13, we will return to the duplicitous Chinese.
To look impressive to basically get laid, but it was trying too hard and too direct. And so he just learned different topics. He had 1,000 books, and he read little bits of them, but he was unable to gain knowledge. He just kept waffling around. He had difficulty keeping friends and that stuff because...
My man went to fucking Professor Xavier's School for the Racist. Like the Philadelphia School of Ultra Racism. Jesus Christ. Why does he bring up everyone's race? Because he's hyper concerned about it.
And I think there's something deeply archetypal about his story, where it's very high intelligence, very interest, but the lack of the actual motivation to do stuff, and the sense of cynical, nihilistic disaffection from your environment. I nearly forgot to throw this in, but I was part of my school's Quizbowl team, and my school kind of drafted me into this. I didn't have that much interest in, and then the first time I went to Quizbowl, for one of the games, I was the best new player. So my class kind of drafted me into doing this, and I didn't like Quizbowl that much, but then the social pressure was there, and we performed nationally. We would go in a bunch of different... we'd spend Saturday days doing Quizbowl. I really wish I didn't do Quizbowl, if I'm honest. The other guys on my team were assholes, too, because they kept trying to get me to study for Quizbowl, and because there's these packets you go through and you do them, and I said, I just learn information. I learn what I find useful. It happens to be good for Quizbowl. That's not my intention. I derive no positional advantage for studying for Quizbowl, which made the other guys on my team really resentful against me. I scored one of the top 10 best players in the country.
I gotta use the restroom. I'll be back. I'll be back.
That was fun. Oh, no, sorry. Best 10 players in the state. I apologize. Difference. My life has so many subplots that I forget subplots to the main
North
story.
Lime
and I forget
Donuts,
subplots,
baby.
which are part of those subplots in turn. So when I was doing Quizbowl, I formed a cult around the god Crome. I did this because I was bored before a match. And
can't even fucking eat. Crome is the god from fucking Conan the Barbarian. Crome! I can't. Oh, fucking Rudy almost killed me. Rudy almost got me, dude.
Started praying to Crome so that we could crush our enemies, the other team. And then it worked. So we kept praying to Crome. Kept praying to prom, We kept praying to Crome, and we kept winning. And then I formed a religious cult in the Quizbowl team where I had like a hat, and we had an idol that we would worship. It was fun. And then we started losing a few games, and the coach of our team, the guy who had appointed himself leader of our Quizbowl team, he said we had to stop worshiping Crome because it wasn't increasing engagement. My mother was born in Canada and is a Canadian citizen. My family on my mom's side have been Americans since the Mayflower, and the reason she was born in Canada is because her parents were dodging the draft during the Vietnam War. And my mom saw getting me and my sister up to Canada as a way to get legal independence from my father, so she kept on forcing me to do it. And she kept on forcibly trying to get me and my sister to move to Canada multiple times as a legal way to control us. And my sister sided with all of this. She became basically a puppet for my mom. I remember my dad, my sister and I were supposed to go on vacation to Austria, and then my sister just didn't come on the vacation. So my dad and I didn't go to Austria, and my sister just said she refused to see my dad. And this was a big court issue, and it really broke my dad's heart. My mom would get us to spend summers.
What were you doing in Austria, man? What was the Lynch family doing in Austria, buddy?
In Canada, and I hated them since she abused me so much. She was in a constant psychological psyop where she would constantly say that I was going to move to Canada and I was going to live there, and the courts would side with her. She would just psyop me 12 hours a day. It was ridiculous. I got off on insulting her, and I would literally start fights with her on purpose to vent my hatred of her. My mom unironically tried to send me to Canadian military boarding school. I was suicidal when I was 14. My parents were forced to go into counseling by the Chester County court system. The counselors told me that I could tell them I was suicidal and that I could trust them because they were worried about my mental health, and they wouldn't tell anyone else. They then told both of my parents and used it as a negotiating chip to force them to come to terms to end the counseling. They betrayed me and lied to me. And my mom's reaction was that I was doing it for attention. I wasn't actually suicidal. And my dad's reaction was that, oh, Rudyard was suicidal in the past. It's fine. I don't have to worry anymore. Every night, I would put myself to sleep thinking of ways to kill myself. I would relax by thinking of ways to kill myself. And I had a 5-step plan, starting out cutting my arm to feel like my life energy. Then
okay. Suicide content warning. Suicide content warning. Suicide content warning.
Then I would jump off the Delaware Bridge, the bridge that spans New Jersey and Pennsylvania, to a icy death to die in the Delaware. That was how I wanted to go out. And I have an ability to feel the world in my body. This is how I run this channel. I can feel you. I can feel my audience. I can feel people I talk to. I can feel different societies in history. I can feel all of your emotions in my body. I have this ability. It's a curse, actually, because you have terrible emotions. You're all super depressed. Society's...
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like this.
But when I was a teenager, I realized that everyone was miserable and the current system wasn't working. I could feel on a psychic level that the system was breaking down around me, that the global order and everything I knew would fall apart. And I predicted the global order would collapse in the next few years. I thought it would be nuclear war at the time. And this is what got me into studying geopolitics. I would go into crime-ridden ghettos like Camden and North Philly to see if I would die. I would think about deindustrialization on a daily basis, and it's the most important part of my political formation. I never thought it'd amount to anything in high school, and I assumed I'd be working a minimum wage job. I knew something like Trump would happen. When I see deindustrialization, I saw a civilization in decline, and I assumed the West was dying, and I projected Pennsylvania onto the entire Western world, where I just thought the West was dying, and I would pray to God, very frequently, God, if you let me save my people, I will do literally anything for you. I know my people are dying, and if you can do anything where I can help them, I will serve you until my last dying breath. Yeah, so I would walk around Penn's Landing, I would look at the USS New Jersey, I'd look at the industrial decay, because this used to be the biggest shipbuilding, I think it was the biggest shipbuilding center in the world at some point. All of these old factories and shipbuilding centers, and I saw 2 ships pass. I walked at Penn's Landing nearly every single day. I was with my mom in Philly. 2 ships passed, biggest shipbuilding center in the world. It's fucking dying. Camden, New Jersey is apocalyptic. I'd walk across the river, I'd look at Camden, there's fucking barbed wire everywhere. And Camden is one of the wealthiest cities in the world. It's where Walt Whitman's from. Socialism's what killed Philly. Camden's like a city in South Africa. It's one of the most violent cities in America. And Philly is this tiny...
He is on it. Oh my gosh. Shout out Foggy from the Op Block. New Jersey resident Foggy. Oh, Foggy out there. So, fucking Foggy's from the Op Block. Oh, fuck it. Rudyard who's walking around in Camden. He just looks over. There's some fucking little queen coming out of fucking opera practice. Just pops his switch, click. Who are you? Get out of Camden.
The edge of civilization, because half of Philly is habitable for white people, and the other half
sorry,
is
Paul.
just,
I'm just fucking with
you'll
you.
die if you go there. And going around Philly, the decay is so obvious. It's rotted.
I'm going to turn the
industrial
content
buildings.
warning back off.
Nothing new gets built in Philly. It's abject decline, and it's so obvious. This is where so I'd modulate my emotional state through assessing my emotions on any given day, and I'd have an emotional diary. And my emotional diary that I'd keep in high school was actually a big turning point for me, because every single day I would write down the inner emotions I felt and what I was thinking about. So I had a degree of third-person objectivity about my life, because I didn't trust anyone. I added up all the days, and at least half of the days in my life to 2/3, something really bad would happen. I took a test. I was so cut off from my own emotions. I took a test. Do you have anxiety? And then the test told me you have crippling 9 out of 10 anxiety. My dad's new girlfriend would abuse me, and she would insult me at the dinner table. She told me when I was 15 that I was too immature to succeed. Almost every time we talked, she would insult me. My dad would side with her over me. Things got bad enough that I refused to ever speak to her, and once I threatened to burn down my dad's house for insulting his honor over Jennifer. I felt trapped, and I literally allied with my mom.
Fucking King Rudy just doxed his dad's girlfriend by the rules of this land. Fucking Rudy don't give a fuck. Note the time code. I'm pausing here. We're gonna return to this. We'll have this be a recurring segment, because there's no good time to stop. All right, we'll do another half hour of this something tomorrow. We will get through the entirety of it. All right. The fucking Mein Kampf American edition. Mein Kampf 2. The Rudyard Lynch story. We'll be going through the rest of this as well. Okay. There's 2 more whole videos and a half hour, 40 minutes really, left of this one. And I promised I would do some other stuff too, because there's tweets that accompany this. I was going to read the tweets, and I want to do some other segments so that this is easy for my fucking people to cut up. Because holy fuck. So we're going to come back. Don't worry. If you're here, if you're new and you're enjoying the way we're covering this, like, subscribe, keep tuned. We're streaming every day this week, that in the Monday through Thursday. We'll be doing, this might be fucking Rudy week. This might be Rudy week. I'm fucking enthralled. Tomorrow I might do some art commentary, community grade bullshit and try to draw this goober. I just realized the goddamn script. I just realized the fucking where I had it paused. Oh my, Rudy.
On at one point.
He is absolutely, by the way, abso-fucking-lutely wearing eyeshadow. This isn't just eyeliner. Rudy is wearing eyeshadow. I can see it on his eye. If he's not wearing eyeshadow, he has some sort of affliction. Your eyes are not that blue without. I think he's wearing a little makeup, which is great. 10 out of 10. Fuck me. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to draw this guy's Paul Atreides and make him a Bloodborne character. Dude, motherfuck. Okay, we're going to continue this later. All right. I have some other stuff. Note the time code 5332. I'll bring the goddamn whole thing up later on the next stream. We'll go until we're good. We get the hold screen. We got the hold screen here. Fuck. Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity.